like now they force your browser to log in, like if you're using Chrome.
Yeah.
Somehow,
Oh.
so it's like when I started the Hangout, even though it was my channel, I clicked the button, it logged me from a different Google account, which doesn't have the right to start the Hangout. So I don't know. Google is weird. We are live. Good evening. How are you doing?
Let's get right into it.
Yeah, so Thanos was right, huh? Is that
Thanos is hold on, let me just. Tonight is James King, which is a lovely, lovely 3-year-old. Not in that way, Brad, my FBI angel.
Oh my god. Yeah. Yeah, Brad, don't take anything he says literally. Otherwise, we'll be in for a world of pain.
Yeah. No, but I was actually re-watching it, and I was like, I was looking at theories. I was like, hang on, was Thanos right?
So okay, Thanos did the thing where he erased half the people in the universe, right? That was his thing.
Yeah.
Okay, so on what basis was he right?
In terms of overpopulation and strife and competition, if half the people are gone, then there's no need for that.
It's an extremely brutal approach to resource planning, but I see the point.
Although he was wrong in that he's just shitty at economics. He assumes that we wouldn't have the technology to make more out of the remaining resources we have. I mean, case in point, mining. We can get a hell of a lot more ore and minerals out of a vein now than we could 20 years ago. 20 years ago, the same vein would be considered dead, and we just chuck it away. But now we can get more out of it. So maybe he's just not super good at economics.
I don't think any Marvel superhero is good at economics. Nobody shows up with like a spreadsheet going, no, the actual numbers don't line up. You can't to save it. That's not how it works. It's like the Tony Stark job creation program. You know, every battle that's fought in New York requires like billions to rebuild it. But I just sort of a more direct and more Earth-only approach to that was in the first Kingsman movie. I don't know if you saw that. The first.
No, I didn't actually. I should though.
It's brilliant. Samuel L. Jackson plays a tech billionaire with a lisp. He is adorable. It's a very good movie. And it's old, so I'm going to spoil the plot. I'm sorry for anyone who hasn't seen it, but also you're objectively like wrong for not having seen it. It's a brilliant movie.
I did see the Everything Wrong With of Kingsman though.
Of course, but
CinemaSins.
But and obviously in there, I think they took points off for the church fight scene, because the church fight scene set to Freebird was just like a work of art. Single continuous action shot, just brilliant, brilliantly choreographed. But the whole plot of the movie is also like, you know, Earth is overpopulated. We should make people kill each other. Was the whole thing like, you know, proper evil tech genius. You know, we give everyone free SIM cards with free data, and then at a certain point we turn them on and they emit the signal that makes you go crazy and start attacking each other. So it's like this proper sort of like old school end of the world big bad guy plot. And he convinces people to get in on the scheme by like, you know, Earth is going to die if we don't do this.
Well, that's the thing. Like, like with Kingsman and with Thanos, is like, as I say, he's not some one-dimensional mustache twirling, yeah, Penelope, I shall tie you to the train tracks type dude. Like everything about it, like the way he carries it out, he genuinely believes what he has to do is what has to be done. It's not for fun or power or anything like that. And I like. I mean, being a fan of Marvel Comics, I like the way they translated him across into the movies, because that was my greatest fear, is that they turn him into like some mustache twirling. Like, no, that's not who or what Thanos is. He is that. He's the representation of that implacable advance of doom.
But also, he looks a lot like the guy from what's that, like that pawn shop show? The guy who can only give you $2. A lot like that guy.
What's that? The largest fragment of the real cross ever known to man? What's that? The spear that pierced the side of Jesus Christ himself? I think I could give you like $5 for it. There's no real market. No, Nick, what?
Somebody I think somebody posted like a meme where they took his face and then like photoshopped it onto Thanos and color adjusted it, and it looked like Thanos. And I'm like, dude, that's weird and wrong. Well, there's no mustache to twirl. I think that was the saving grace in all this. But no, it's actually, I do like the one thing I will say about Marvel's writing is that they do get the complex character right. You know, there's no like just sort of cardboard cutouts here. Everyone has flaws. Everyone makes mistakes. I mean, arguably Tony Stark, the whole Age of Ultron thing, you know, that's like deeply flawed hero trying to solve the problem. That is, it's way better than just be like, oh, I'm the bad guy for like no reason. No, it's more complex than that, which I really appreciate. Which, what was the last DC movie I saw was really stupid, and I can't remember which one it was now. It was the Superman reboot with
what?
So I'm just trying to think, because like the last DC movie I saw, it was the Superman one with Henry Cavill. I don't know if you saw that one.
No, because I'm not a lonely 35-year-old housewife.
Well, neither am I.
No, I'm kidding. He's actually a good Superman.
Dude, man, Henry Cavill is just like a great actor overall. But like the Superman that I remember, it was like.
Oh, we actually got one person in our chat, by the way. Sorry.
Oh shit! Sorry. I will actually need to open that link. Let me just find it again because I don't know where all these buttons are. Anyway, that one was just stupidly dark because there was a Superman movie before that where it's sort of like, you know, Superman's the good guy and, you know, huge situation comes up and he saves the day, and it's, you know, him and Lex Luthor or whatever, and it's like, oh, he's the hero. This reboot, he may as well have been the bad guy. Like the way they wrote it was like so dark and so gritty. It's just like depressing as shit to watch.
Okay, so it's like if me, when I was in an emo band, wrote Superman.
Yeah, exactly. You wrote Superman, but you were heavily influenced by Shakespeare, and everyone died at the end. Like if that was the way you did it.
Or like if all the fans of like My Chemical Romance and all those other emo bands wrote a Superman movie. Not to rag on My Chemical Romance, though. I actually kind of like them, but I like Taking Back Sunday better.
Right. This seems like a conflict of which I have no interest or knowledge, which I guess is good. Lola B, hello. Okay, I've got the chat window open now. I can bring it off to the side. But yeah, what are the next Marvel movies coming up?
Ant-Man, I think.
Is it Ant-Man and the Wasp?
No, wait, that's already come out.
Yeah, I know. Dude, okay. So I'm broadcasting from an undisclosed location, which is set roughly 20 years in the past, evidenced by the fact that the main road in town has an actual DVD rental store. And they...
Wait, it's 20... Why would you not tell people? Like, you know what?
It's 1998, guys.
Like,
I'm broadcasting from 1998. I can walk down and pay cash money to a dude to rent a DVD for a day. No, I have to point out secret location because obviously the background is different, and I'm not speaking to the audience here. I'm speaking to the audience 2 years from now. Whoever you are, your name is probably like Chad, who has gone back through all the videos we posted trying to find shit we said. So just for reference, this is not my normal place of broadcast. Of course, just so that you know, there's no conspiracy here. But anyway.
Every time somebody mentions that, though, right? Like broadcasting from all that, I'm like, if I could go back in time, I would do X, Y, and I'm like, really? That's the one little thing you would do if you literally had time, the ability to travel through time. I don't think you understand what the ability to travel through time means.
I think I have the very same Doctor Who approach of just observe, don't try and mess with things. And then he messes with things anyway because he's inconsistent and badly written. But anyway, the very circuitous point I was getting to was that this video shop had a poster for Ant-Man and the Wasp. So yes, it's definitely come out already. And that's how I know.
Oh, wow. That's savage, but not unwarranted.
I'm honestly like, I saw it and something disengaged in the back of my brain, and I was like, does the economy still support this? Like, isn't this a form of business that should have been gone by now? But apparently not here in this undisclosed fishing village that I'm
An undisclosed fishing village in South Africa.
that is still apparently in 1998. So,
like, if I could go back to 1998, there's so many things I would change. So many things. Like, people are just like, oh, I would go back and ask out so and so, or I would invest money in X. Or what? Yes. No, you idiot! You have the power of time. You know so much about what's about to happen. You could literally make yourself emperor of Earth. Through the right choices. You know everything.
But okay, so this is one of my favorite fallacies, right? That I love this sort of. Every now and then, this pops up on social media, like, if you could know one thing about modern life to take back with you into the past, what would it be? And people are like, medicine, weapons, whatever. But a lot of people assume that just with foreknowledge, they'll be able to make a huge change in the past. And the reality is, if someone like me were to appear in the Middle Ages, I would die of cholera within about 6 months.
That's the other thing I was going to say. It depends how far back you go, because for us to go, firstly, also there's the concept of mutually intelligible languages. Go far back enough and you won't understand what the hell they are saying.
There's also the concept of the progression of herd immunity. And if I go back in time, I could be carrying diseases that don't exist in the past and start some kind of plague. So,
also, I mean, being black, the past isn't a great place for me.
What you want to do is head to like sort of AD 1000 North Africa. I think that's sort of peak. There were empires. There were actual empires that exported, and that would be like
Songhai Empire, Mali, all that, and yeah.
But then you would be the guy that didn't know how to like hunt or fish.
That's the thing. That's the thing that's the point I actually wanted to get to, is that people forget in modern life we've become so incredibly specialized that you think you're so damn smart because you know about all this stuff in the future, but you know how a toaster works, but God help you if you were to ask to actually smelt and put together a toaster. You wouldn't be able to. You wouldn't.
There's actually
people rip on our ancestors, but your average previous human knew so much about their world. Like, they didn't have electricity, but they knew about the stars, navigation, survival techniques that we just kind of threw out the window.
Yeah. There's actually a video. You mentioned toaster. There's actually somewhere on YouTube. There's a video where a guy attempts to build a toaster from scratch, and he ends up with something that looks nothing like a toaster. But it's functional. It technically burns bread, so it works. The specialization thing is actually kind of crazy. I mean, that's the whole point of civilization, right? That not all of us have to be farmers. That's why we do this. So to go back a few hundred years, I think you would lose. For my money, if I went back in time, depending on where I landed, I would just pile all my money into either Microsoft, Apple, or Bitcoin. That's basically
pretty much, yeah.
That's what I would
pile it all into Microsoft or Apple and just.
You see, because I figure, and this is the clever part, is that to change the world requires resources, and if I can retain the knowledge of time travel, I can accumulate resources and keep going back. That's
infinite loop, yeah.
Yeah. So in some universe, I eventually just bankroll the American Revolution, and then for the next, for that period of time, just sort of drive up this empire. That's what I would do.
Who guards the guardians? Because how far back do you go? How powerful do you make yourself? How much do you believe that you're the only one who can do this right and should do this? And
there's you see, there I would really hope I had the ability to go into the future and fetch future weaponry and bring it back to the past, because I'm the only one that would trust myself to protect myself in that situation. Like a very
I would go back and see Helen of Troy, the face that launched 1,000 ships.
Dude, and you know what? It's probably not
assuming it's real.
It's probably real.
Because I actually saw an archaeological thing where they found what they believed to be the ruins of actual Troy. So I'd go back. I'd be like, okay, find me this Helen of Troy. I just got to see, like, a chick that you are literally willing to go to war over. Dude, you're king of your kingdom. You could have anyone. Just Snap your fingers. It's fine.
But I also like, obviously, I mean, in that situation, it was. Hang on, I'm not sure I remember this correctly. I know that there's that that saying that the face had launched 1,000 ships. But was it because of her political position, or was it literally just because she was like the most beautiful woman that anyone had ever seen? Like, what was the?
And also changing standards of beauty. Like what was hot.
Oh yes.
Ages ago is not hot now. So yeah.
I don't think like anyone today would launch 1,000 aircraft carriers. I don't think there's any woman alive that could appropriate that amount of defense budget for anything. So I think times have changed.
I don't know if the U.S. Air Force can spend $1,283 on a fucking coffee cup.
Oh my god!
Yes.
So I saw that meme and I had to laugh because that is like government procurement. It's also big corporate procurement. Like it's just companies with too much money to spend. But do we know what the story with the coffee cup is?
I was too depressed to look further into it. I was just like, no.
I know. It's like every time somebody posts one of these taxation is theft memes, I think, well, there's more to it than that, and it's not a bad thing to have a neutral fund that can drive some of the stuff no one else would spend money on. But then there's like a meme like that, and I go, "Fuck it, taxation is theft."
Yes, join us, join us, libertarians.
I'm trying to be as like pull to the center a little bit. What's it? A filthy centrist. My whole thing is like,
yeah. Choose an ideology, you centrist cuck. That's what they say now. Choose an ideology, you centrist cuck. I like.
It's amazing how we sexualize everything. Like
right?
Political stances. Oh my god, no. Thanos was right, dude. You see, every time we get onto this topic, it's just like, fuck it, let's just burn half of them and see what happens.
Thanos is right. The boy was right. Thanos was right.
Yeah, no, it's because South Africa, we also have our $1,000 coffee cups, although they come in the form of like, what was it? There was one with toilets, where someone worked out we were spending hundreds of thousands of rand per toilet if you divided the budget versus what was delivered, that sort of thing. So it does happen here as well, and it's maddening. Like it's really upsetting.
Well, guys, Julius and Co have got a lot of side chicks to pay off for their silence. So
whatever happened, there was like when the EFF was kind of starting out, there was this communication strategist slash what I'm pretty sure was social media influencer, Kim Heller, who was sort of like always in orbit of like the Malema and all the rest. What happened to her?
I don't know.
The reason I'm curious is like she was the only white face in EFF command, if I can call it that. And then I just don't know if she's still around. It'll just be interesting to see. Because Idi Amin does do the purges occasionally.
The Purge. Can we get to the Purge though as a series of movies? Can we discuss that for a second?
Absolutely. Let's do it.
How would that even work? Like there's too many. Okay, no, I understand. I'm willing to suspend my disbelief. Okay, right. I am. But in this specific universe, I just see so many socioeconomic and infrastructure factors that would go to shit if once a year, guaranteed, all sorts of shit would go off, right? Like, think of yourself as a small business. There's no way small business would survive in that environment. Because within a year, if you start up a small business, within a year, if you know for a fact, shit's gonna go buck wild and stuff's gonna burn and all that, your insurance premiums are going to be sky high. Like, nobody will go into business anymore.
You know what? I think it would end up looking a lot like present day Central Africa, where private security, I mean, what they call it are warlords, but it's essentially private security. That would be the order of the day. So like businesses would have to sort of federate and make peace pacts and agree not to fuck each other up and consolidate defense. Like, the funny thing is, the free market would solve that, because eventually these businesses would realize, okay, the purge is a thing, but we know that it's not worth ruining everything for a day, so we'll make a pact and do it. My question, I think, with the purge is, what happens if you like kidnap someone and hold them?
That's what I think. That's what I think. That's the social aspect. Like, okay, what if Jim from down the street, okay, And let's be honest, this is what the purge is about: brutal murder and rape. Okay, those are like the two things that happen in the purge all the time, right? So what if your lovely, beautiful daughter's on her way to fucking, I don't know, Stanford University next year, and tonight's the purge, and Jim from down the street, and you know it's Jim, you know for a fact, he doesn't even have to wear a mask because all crime is legal. So Jim from down the street brutally murder rapes your daughter. The next day, are you supposed to be like, howdy neighbor, how's it going? What? No. I'm sorry.
No, you know what you do is you sharpen your knife and make plans for the next 364 days, and then you get Jim next year. Like, so, and maybe that's the genius of it, that it perpetuates, right? Like just constant revenge back and forth.
The other thing I'm thinking is, and obviously this is something that was allowed by the higher ups of government, and this is, okay, let me put on my tinfoil hat.
Brad, if you're listening.
Yeah, let me go into incognito mode. Brad can't see this. Brad, my FBI agent. He's a great guy, though. He really is. And if the higher ups allowed this to be a thing, it came into law. Okay, so there's no way they would have allowed that if that didn't benefit them somehow. So while all the commoners are busy like murdering and stealing and burning and raping and all sorts of terrible shit, I guarantee you the higher ups are doing real crime. They are doing all sorts of fucking insider trading and all sorts of shit, because for one day all of that shit is all the gloves are off. So why would I steal when I can insider trade and do all this stuff that would make me so much more rich and powerful?
Yeah, it's also like that would be the day where all the like CEOs of the corporates try to assassinate each other or something. Like just a crazy night of like actual competitors hauling out guns and going for each other. Because even like small businesses would band together. That's a very logical strategy in this scenario. But the big corporates, they can afford to sort of jack up security and go after someone else.
Exactly. Also, I love that was my first like thought. Like that just shows like maybe I am evil. Like my thought is, how can I exact power and money out of this?
Yeah, no, it's less evil and more just, you know, considering the environment, right? And think there's a big difference between thinking, saying, and doing. So long as you don't hit the do part, you're okay. You can make these very destructive plans. But no, I think yeah, I don't know how you would run a purge society, although in South Africa, I think we pretty much have one that runs like all year round in some cases. No, it's ridiculous. So
I love that we laugh at that, like, despite that's a thing.
It's like you know, like and I'm going to breach the extremely dangerous Israel topic because why not? But like every time,
yeah, we'll never be monetized anyway. It's fine.
It's fine. Yeah. Again, Chad from like 2023 coming back to look at this. We have no plans to monetize, so whatever. But it's like the optics of this, right? So I don't know who or why the fighting happens. I don't pretend to know. But there's always the optics of like, you know, high-powered Israeli soldiers versus like these poor Palestinians. And people look at that and it's like this kind of deep outrage at the whole injustice of the situation, and it gets worldwide coverage. That shit happens like every 6 hours somewhere in South Africa, and we just don't see it. And so it's almost like it doesn't even happen.
Also, I actually know people who live in Israel, and I'm like, yeah, the media is a little bit skewed on their reporting at times. Like
a little bit.
Like they've kind of run with this poor Palestinians victims narrative just a little bit too much.
My favorite detail was that some outlet reported, and it was one of these sort of semi-conspiracy ones, that like Hamas is paying children to stand on the front lines and get shot. And everyone was like, that can't be real. You've got to retract it. It's fake. It's malicious. And then Hamas was like, no, we do that. You know, and there was actual photo. And what they do is they subsidize the families if the kids get hurt. And it's like, that's what they do. It's not even a contest. They said this.
By the way, now that we've mildly said anything positive about Israel online, we are now automatically Zionist cucks.
Of course. And yeah, and I think
everyone in the right-wing media, in right-wing alternative media in South Africa will now ostracize me. Like,
Also, I would like to officially bid welcome to David from the Mossad agency, who's now also monitoring us, alongside Brad and future Chad from the videos. Thanks for joining. The Mossad scares me.
As they should. As they should.
And the reason Mossad scares me is that, like other intelligence agencies, they have the luxury of sort of, they defend very large countries and have very powerful armies and can afford to make a few mistakes. Israel can't. So the Mossad is like just like the kind of black-clad ninjas in the night, and they terrify me with what they're able to do. But you never really think of them as being a big force, but they are. So just David, welcome to the show.
I'm never going to get into college. Like every single PhD program is now going to reject me. Like it's rejected. Every paper I publish from this day forth will be rejected. Like every research article I publish, every like campaign I get to.
We are in the machine now. But it's just, dude, I just
might as well like apply to Alex Jones U at this point.
What was that stupid one that fell through, the Milo Yiannopoulos privilege grant? That just sort of came and then just vanished along with all the money. Like, okay. Dude, no, it was just like, speaking about media stuff, like I just, I think I might have mentioned this on one of the earlier shows. It annoyed me when News 24 did an article on AfriForum, and the article takes one position, which they do, and then they link a video as proof, and the video contradicts the article. And I thought, this is amateurish, and it's, it's kind of disappointing. CNN did that today. Like today, I watched them do it with Trump. I don't know if you saw, I think I tweeted that out about the violence comment.
No, let me...
Short answer is that CNN ran, and this is kind of weird, like they ran with a headline that said, Trump warns of violence if GOP loses the midterms. And you scan that and you think, oh, fuck, he's actually threatening that his side will get violent if they lose the midterms. So I clicked through to the video.
And what is it actually?
And actually what it was, and this is weird, it was a recording that CNN had heard, but apparently couldn't play to us. They had to transcribe it, so that's kind of odd. But they transcribe it, and we take it on good faith that it's accurate. And what Trump actually said was, if the GOP loses, they're going to come in and undo all of our work. They're going to do it quickly and violently. Look at these Antifa types, they're violent, end quote. So actually he's warning of violence from the other side if they lose the midterms, which is also kind of shitty and alarming.
Oh, that's just a very small detail.
Just like teeny tiny, like he's not actually, but then it gets retweeted by people who don't, it's like a 2-minute video. They don't even read that. They just retweet and go, oh, look, he's inciting violence. Like, no, that's not what he said. And the thing that bothers me about this is that he's the president of the United States of America. People will hate him no matter what he says. No matter what he does, he'll get things wrong because that's life. There's plenty to attack him on. Why do you do this? Why do you create these headlines which are misleading when you don't have to? There's plenty of other stuff where you can just like objectively he did a bad thing. But no, we go for like the full package. And it's just like, I don't know if I can trust CNN anymore. I mean, I know I can't trust them in general on this, but looking at this, it's like, why? Why? It's like, why would you do this? I don't understand anymore. I don't. But anyway, so that's where I started learning. There's actually a phrase for this, which is like the thing I'm trying to teach people now, the Gell-Mann Amnesia effect. So this is the educational portion of the podcast. Do you know what the Gell-Mann Amnesia effect is?
No.
So if you're an expert in a field.
Also, I'd like to point out I'm one of the first people in media to admit when I don't know something.
Yeah, dude, that's the props.
That's how low the bar is now. This is how low the bar is.
It's like you are so brave for admitting that there's one thing in the world you don't know. I'm so proud of you, man. No, this is actually interesting. It was coined by a physicist friend of Michael Crichton, who wrote the Jurassic Park stories and everything else. That's just a fun bit of trivia to get to the actual thing, which is, what's your field? It's like mathematics and machine learning. Yeah. Or just use an example. So if somebody wrote an article that described machine learning techniques and they gave them the wrong names, like they described, like an old school if statement, but called it a generative adversarial network, you would know it's bullshit, right? Like you would read that and go, this is inaccurate reporting, right? But if you then turn the page and it's a topic about agriculture that you know nothing about, even though you know for a fact that the publication got your field so horribly wrong, that completely leaves your mind. And when you turn to the next page and read something else, and you think, oh, it must be accurate because I don't know anything about this field. That's the Gell-Mann Amnesia effect. You forget that the publication screwed up your thing, and you just assume that all the other things are true. But if you knew anything about the field, you would realize that they're not, because the media very often gets things wrong. But that's the crazy thing, right? Is that we do this all the time. So everyone will protest a bit of media they understand, and they'll accept everything else as given because suddenly they're trustworthy for like no reason. And it's just a glitch in our brains.
My question is why? Because I know why I would accept something as true in a publication, even if it got my bit wrong. And the reason I would is because, as you say, the more you learn about stuff, the more you realize how little you know about stuff. So I think maybe that might motivate it. Like, I know that I know a lot about a very tiny bit of knowledge. So if somebody presents something else to me, I'll be like, okay, because I know that I don't know shit about this thing. So maybe that's what helps this Gell-Mann Amnesia effect.
Yeah, it's this crazy thing where, you know, if somebody presents you with information in which you have no background and you have nothing to refute that, even if you don't accept it, you kind of only have that data now. It's like if somebody who doesn't know anything about the Mac versus PC debate, you go up to them and tell them PCs are better, and they know nothing. And then like a year later, someone tells them Macs are better. They'll go, no, PCs are better. I heard that first. You know, it's like this thing where we think we're smarter than we are, and we think we're more critical than we are. So it's just, yeah, I mean,
except if you're somewhat educated, and then you start to doubt yourself a hell of a lot.
You do, yeah, and it's again, it's absolutely crazy. Like I've watched writers.
Like I'm sure the more you code, the less you think, hey, I know everything about coding.
There's a chart for this. Like it floats around the internet. It's like the stages of
Dunning-Kruger effect.
There's the Noscript effect, but yeah, that's but that's where you are too stupid to know how stupid you are. There's this different one where it's like as you accumulate experience, your confidence goes from low to high, and then it goes back down to low, because when you get down to like a high level of experience, you realize how little you actually know about stuff. And people don't seem to think in those terms at all. So yeah, it's interesting. You know, my Twitter feed is mostly outrage, but every now and then some very good psychological articles make it through, and I actually learn something about the human brain.
My Twitter feed is mostly like most of my American friends and stuff, and like random like anime pics and stuff. Not hentai, just to make it clear, right. Brad, not hentai.
Yeah. And again, that's really funny. There's a substantial difference between the two, but people that don't know anything about it will just assume that they're the same. So then they learn that like their teenage son is watching anime and will freak out.
I don't know. Have you watched this new anime, Goblin Slayer? Because I don't see the difference. I don't see how Goblin Slayer isn't basically hentai. Like,
it keeps coming back to.
I was watching it. I'm like, is this Crunchyroll or Pornhub? Or I was just like, I think for those of you who don't know what we're talking about, Goblin Slayer, or the two of you who's watching, Goblin Slayer is an anime in which they're all the European high fantasy creatures like elves and dwarves and goblins are real, and goblins have a thing in that series of kidnapping women and then frat housing them, gang forcing themselves onto said women sexually.
Yeah, it's a very roundabout way of saying the words you don't want to say, and I applaud you for the effort.
Yeah.
No, you know what? Japan is a weird egg, dude. I don't know what they're thinking.
Well, we nuked them twice.
We nuked the masculinity out of them. I think that was Dave Chappelle's point. He made something. There was some. What was it like? Japan used to be like samurai soldiers. Then we nuked them twice. Now it's Hello Kitty. You know, like we absolutely flattened. It's just like, you know what? It sounds ridiculous, but it's kind of true. Dude, no, I don't know. But what I do know is that they put out an awful quantity of this stuff like every month. It's ridiculous, the amount that they managed to put out there.
It is. They are very industrious people.
Extremely.
I don't know if that's like racist, but it's positively racist.
It's like saying the Germans are efficient, and then like they are, but also people get upset.
I don't know how else to phrase that. Okay.
Like, and okay, like true story. So, last week I was staying in an Airbnb, and one of the other guests there was this lady from Germany who, and this is kind of wild that this is what she does. She works at a welcome center which tries to help integrate refugees to Germany. So it's like, you're working in a hot button industry. I want to talk to you about this. And so we had a very good conversation. And then that night we'd organized the barbecue, and I'm in South African mode. I'm like, when the sun goes down and I start feeling kind of hungry, I'll start. And then she was like, when are we starting? And I'm like, well, 8 o'clock, whatever. And like, she literally started keeping time. Like, it's 7:45, we should set the table. It's chill. We don't have to do it now. No, we're going to set the table. And then it's like, it's 5 to...
why they lost the war.
And it's like, it's 5 to, are you going to light the fire? And I'm like, okay. I started taking orders. I'm like, okay, fine, I'll start the fire. Yeah.
Was she hot? Is the question.
Differing standards of beauty. Can I play that card? Because you played that card.
Fair enough.
No. I think she was, but also that's not what I use Airbnb for. So
I'm just asking, like, was she what most men would find mildly attractive, conventionally attractive?
Yes, definitely. Unfortunately, in my case, I have the reverse Oedipus complex in that I have a problem with my mother, and she resembled my mother. So,
oh
yeah,
oh.
But it's all good. And she actually, very interesting, told me with the whole refugee crisis, the problem was that at the start of it, Europe was kind of semi on board with spreading out the workload of taking all these people in. And then when it started happening, they were like, nah, we're not interested anymore. So Germany ends up with a lot of them. And they actually don't have the capacity to integrate them. And she was telling me it is actually a challenge. And it's like every time the news media picks up some immigrant versus native story, it makes the whole thing worse. So it's actually a very difficult position to be in. Trying to, teach kids about Western traditions while nobody in the West wants them there. Like, that's kind of the situation. So I really do feel for the poor kids in this. They're going to suffer.
Yeah, they're the victims in all this. Scotch. Yum, 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 yum. We'll see.
Yeah. So, okay, we've concluded that Thanos was right, and you should optimize your strategy for time travel before you go. We have a new spy from the Mossad, and...
Can we maybe attempt to talk tech at one point, just for like 5 minutes?
Okay, this is like the last 10-minute tech segment of the show. What tech exactly do you have in mind?
Other than the fact that I have a Note 8 that I still haven't used, Note 9 that I still haven't used, I'm still using my S7 Edge. And
okay, so is that your S7 there?
Yeah. And that made me realize, really, like, I'm that lazy that I couldn't be asked enough to like fucking unpack that Note 9 and like do it. I just like, fuck it, my S7 Edge still works.
So why did you get the Note 9 then?
Because I have no imagination.
Okay, let me rephrase the question. You have a functional phone you're still using.
Oh, upgrade.
Oh, it was like a network upgrade.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. No, actually, I saw one of the ads for the Note 9 showed how to do a light tracing shot. So where they do like a long exposure where someone waves like a glow stick or a torch or something to kind of paint a word in the sky. And the preview, like they showed a professional photographer using a stylus to fiddle with the camera on the touchscreen. It looked like a professional bit of camera software. And it reminds me of the Apple launch. And this is actually an interesting point, is that these smartphone cameras are now kind of competing directly with the old school digital SLRs.
Well, that was my question. At what point is the miniaturization? Because this is something I've been asking for fucking ages. At what point is the miniaturization and the improvement of in general of all aspects of smartphone cameras going to get to the point where, as you say, they compete with digital SLRs? And once we get to that tipping point, what happens then?
For my money, I think we've reached that tipping point with the new iPhones. So I watched the launch, and in the previous version, they added their onboard neural network chip, and in this one, they doubled the capacity, whatever it is. But some of the tech demos they showed, was like every photo is HDR, every single one is run through a neural network to optimize the image quality. They do crazy things like the bokeh photography, where you kind of have an out of focus subject, but you can take the photo and adjust the focus after the fact because it stores all the images and does all the processing locally. And they just kind of rattle off spec after spec. And I'm like, this is ridiculous. You put that hardware in a camera shell, you have like the world's most sophisticated camera, And it's like, I think we're there, Like for me, the only way out is that like if one of these traditional vendors partners with Apple to put that hardware and software into their shells with their lenses, that's like, then you've got like the absolute best. Because it is crazy what that iPhone camera can do.
Exactly.
Like the one that sold it for me was a very simple one. They had a photo, that like sort of classic someone coming up out of water and throwing their head back, and you catch the water droplets in midair, like that type of shot. They did that with the sun in focus, in shot, and the camera was able to white balance that correctly, where you could see the sun and the dude.
Wow.
And I'm like, I am sold. That is genius photography. I don't know how you did that, but there it is. And then they showed the shot, and they showed how they compiled it. And it's like the phone takes like 15 exposures, something crazy, and like runs like a neural network model on it, like real time, to adjust the shot to like what should look perfect. And I'm just like, no, fuck you guys, you've killed photography. And then they said, yeah, what was the phrase? We're entering an age of computational photography, where software does more work than the hardware does.
Exactly. It's like your average modern jet fighter today. Your average modern, jet fighter, it's aerodynamically unsound. No pilot could fly it, but the computer does so many adjustments per second. It's in that same way. It's your modern thing. Like, you don't have to be good at taking photos. The phone is good at taking photos. The plane is good at flying itself. We've reached that point where like
we have, yeah. And so I think it was like 2 generations ago even. Apple did some presentation where every frame of footage in the video was shot on an iPhone, and it looked professional quality. And it's just, we're there. And Apple, like, just sort of like a screw you to everyone, they're doing that at scale directly on the hardware for millions of people. I mean, that's just...
My biggest issue with Apple, though, is that I just can't stand hipsters. That's my biggest issue with Apple.
Well, if it helps, this Hangouts is being joined from a MacBook on my side, so... But in my defense, it's a mid-2015 model. It's very old. No, it's a mid-2013, I think. Can you check? I have a very old Mac, late 2013. This machine is like older than my career at this point.
Older than my career.
I'm the anti-hipster. I'm actually going to use the hardware until it gives out, and it hasn't given out yet. So.
Well, that's like me now. Like, I literally have a brand new Note 9 sitting on my dinner table there, and I like how and that's the point that appealed to me. I was like, how good of a life do I have that I literally have an S7 Edge? I have a brand new Note 9 sitting on my dinner table, and I'm not motivated to just unplug my just because I don't care. I just don't care.
Well, if you ever change your mind and get into like high quality photography, I think the camera and the screen on that Note 9 will impress you. But like at this point, yeah, who knows? You could save it, and then like if you don't use it for like 6 months, we just like give it away as a gift on a show or something. But I want to give you a chance to change your mind, because maybe you want to keep it. But if you don't,
no, I probably will actually like transfer into the Note 9 at some point in the next coming weeks. But at this point, I've just got too much math to do. Like,
yep.
It's like that math. You know that meme? What are you doing? The glory of Rome is forever.
Yeah.
That's me right now. What are you doing? Looking at new phones, looking at women. The glory of math is forever.
Yeah,
the glory of calculations is forever.
Dude, speaking of memes, I saw one of those blue-gray NPC avatars on like some random websites discuss comment section.
Oh, we didn't do a meme review.
We can do that now quickly.
Okay, cool.
we need to share some memes. I think it's like by law.
Yeah. Screen share some memes. Meme review. Meme review. Meme review. Meme review.
I don't think I prepared any memes. Hang on, let me check.
Just log into Twitter and find like the first 5 memes on your screen.
Oh God, no, that's gonna. Okay, hang on. But what hashtag do I type in?
I would be very careful about what hashtags you type in at this point.
All right, so we're gonna do this. Hang on. How do I? I'm gonna share my screen out. We're gonna go meme browsing. This is our experimental reaction channel feature. Okay.
I can't find any memes on my. I'm looking through my Twitter feed right now.
I'm gonna just search for NPC.
I'm not gonna look through my DMs. Let's not go there.
Okay. We're already here we go.
Yes. Oh, I shared that actually.
Yeah.
Like, I was genuinely upset about that because I was like, it's so good. Like it's so right? Like, really? You were alive for all that shit, and you wow, you're a terrible person.
Someone redid the acceptable opinion compass for NPC style. Wow.
So I'm in the bottom right, which makes me a Nazi.
Yeah, bad
opposed
Nazi.
to a Nazi, or a good bad Nazi, or a bad Nazi.
So what is a good bad Nazi though? That's like
because the top spectrum is good. So if you're above this line, if you're authoritarian, you're good. So
but you're a Nazi.
Good bad Nazi.
Okay. Okay, that's actually pretty clever. So the Twitter.
Did you see that video of Alex Jones screaming at a piece of shit?
No, I want to see that. Hang on.
Just
Alex Jones screaming. I guess it'll come up like in the next. Oh, please tell me it's in the videos. Please.
It was like at a yes, Alex Jones screaming at a piece of shit. Is there? Okay.
Oh my God, is that him doing it? Hang on. Let me just YouTube this.
I'm not even kidding. It's Alex Jones yelling at a piece of shit at a rally.
Okay. No,
he was calling it Beto O'Rourke. So he's just literally just screaming at a piece of shit in the middle of the street. There we go. It's Alex Jones. The man, the legend. I mean, like, I have so many questions, dude.
You know what? I also have questions. But so that's obviously a horse, right? Just given the pattern and the amount, that's a horse that dropped there.
So maybe there were some mounted cops in the area. It's Alex Jones screaming at a piece of shit. Like, most people would be happy with calling their rivals and contemporaries a piece of shit. No, Alex Jones goes out into a street at a rally and screams at an actual piece of shit.
Yeah, that.
You can't stop Alex Jones.
There's just videos that from like ages ago where Alex Jones is like, it's out at night somewhere and he's shirtless and there's a fire and he's talking about like, overthrowing the system and the fluoride in the water. And he just goes completely like nuts. And I saw that and I thought, I can't tell. This is like a Heath Ledger Joker situation. I can't tell if he's being authentically crazy or just like really, really performing it well. And now that he's screaming at piles of shit, I don't know. That takes. I think that being said, if I had a very rough week with the city like sanitation department, and then I just walked out the front door after dealing with that for 2 weeks, and I saw some more shit, I might shout at it too. So we don't know the context, but he does look crazy in that video. Can't do that. Oh my God.
He's Alex Jones. I will forever love that man for the memes that he produces. This is the memeiest. Like I said, I thought about it like 5 minutes, a couple of days ago. I'm like, okay, let's say one day I'm an old man and I'm sitting in my rocking chair on my fucking stoop in, I don't know, Michigan or something, and I'm rocking back and forth, and my son says to me, "Dad, what's a creepy porn lawyer? And what's a Alex Jones?" Like, I don't know how to like explain to my children what this timeline, like what happened, like why did we do this, and like what do I say to him?
This is almost why real war is easier, because you can just say the Nazis wanted to kill everyone who wasn't white and we went to war to stop them. It's very simple, but it gets the point across. This is harder to explain. The meme wars. Like this
What's
is
a kafefe? Okay, so son, it starts like this.
There was an orange man from Florida. Like, stay a while and listen.
The game reference.
Yeah, that's Diablo 2, I think. Yeah, dude, that was a long time ago.
This is a great time. Boomer. Now we're officially boomers because we're like Diablo 2. Have you seen that Boomer versus Zoomer meme?
No.
Okay, last meme of the show. Let me just find this script. Just
all right. Yeah.
A Boomer versus Zoomer meme. Let me just find this quick. Boomer versus Zoomer.
Are you a boomer or a zoomer? Oh my god. This is a 4chan thing, isn't it?
Oh, it's totally a 4chan thing. It's like let me find a really good Boomer versus Zoomer thing. Okay, I'm gonna screen share real quick. And right, here's like the 80-year-old fucking Boomer versus Zoomer. You see that?
Not yet. Did you click the share and the share thing again?
Yeah, screen share. There, start screen share. There we go.
There we go.
So, are you a Boomer?
Who draws those? Who sits down and draws these? Like, oh my god. Dude, I have tried that Vita Coco shit. It sucks. I am definitely not a Zoomer. Like, if that's the test, I fail.
Also, you weren't born from 2000 to 2008.
You were going to say 20,000, weren't you?
Yes. The whiskey is starting to take hold.
Yeah. I think this might be where we get into like dangerous territory with the Mossad.
Yeah. That's why Ulysses S. Grant was my favorite president in general.
Yeah. Okay, so Boomer versus Zoomer.
I love Ulysses S. Grant. He's the only president and general to win a war while wasted off whiskey and to become president while wasted off whiskey.
See, where are those heroes? We need them now.
Ulysses S. Grant, greatest president of all time.
So then, like, last question, because we started a bit late. Here's a good one. Given the current meme wars we're in, and the fact that, like,
I guess we should try keep it to about an hour. So like 5 more minutes, 10 more minutes. Yeah.
So there's like one good question we can end this with. If you could, like, in the current situation that we are in, where like the fabric of reality is under assault, who would you bring kind of back from the past to help sort the shit out? Would it be Ulysses S. Grant, or is there someone else that you can think of that would help you kind of win this war for the good guys?
Just define, okay, just for my reference, define like I can literally just bring back anyone, any circumstance.
So like
they're alive and they totally understand what's going on, and I can just teleport them here.
Exactly, and you have like all their energy, all their attention, all their effort in helping you sort of resist this breakdown of reality itself that we're currently faced with. So for my money, my answer is George Carlin. Just because George Carlin was the guy that, like, he was the original freestyle.
Ooh, good pick.
So George Carlin, I mean, I think a lot of people know like his older work where he's like this sort of old man on stage who does a bunch of rants. His earlier work, he's the reason that people can say fuck on HBO. Like modern HBO, like if you like Game of Thrones.
Despite me not being able to say nibbers on Twitter.
Do not hit the nibber zone, dude. Come on. We're doing very well here. So like today, you think of HBO, you look at like Game of Thrones and it's like sex and violence. But in George Carlin's era, and this is really funny, and you can look it up. In like the 70s, he went to a university campus to do a stand-up routine. And at the end of his routine, he had a thing called the 7 words you can't say. And I forgot exactly what the words are. But the thing that strikes me about this is that even today, you watch that, and they show his comedy routine, and then right before then they pause it, And they say, like, the following bit of the presentation contains sensitive material, consider switching off your TV. And then it goes to George Carlin saying the 7 words you can't say. In that era of absolute suppression of free speech, he was the one who pushed the envelope all the way through and gave us what we have today. So for my money, it would be him, because he saw all the shit coming, the self-esteem movement, the feminists, everything. He saw it coming. So I would bring him back.
Okay, fair.
Yep.
And I'm tempted. No, that's a great answer. I'm still tempted to say Ulysses S. Grant.
Okay.
Or Calvin Coolidge, the 2 most libertarian presidents of the United States of all time.
Tell me about Calvin Coolidge. It's not a name I've actually really heard.
He was the president just before, and people blame him for the Great Depression, but it's not his fault. It really isn't. He's the president who basically said the best thing a president can do is nothing. Like, don't intervene in the government. Government needs to stop and like can just.
So like an old time. Like
he didn't sign executive orders to do this or influence. No. Just let it run.
Okay, so basically like an old-timey Ron Swanson from Parks and Rec, like that kind of guy.
Yeah. Either of them, or I'm gonna go maybe, and he was a bit of an authoritarian, so I dislike him in certain ways. But Alexander the Great, to just sort all of this shit out, just unify humanity and sort all of this shit out, and just stop your shit. And just, yeah.
Alexander the Great. I mean, he ended up conquering like the known world at that point, right? It was like most of like Europe and Asia or something like that.
By the time he was fucking 30 years old, he had conquered the known world.
Okay, so I am clearly well behind on my schedule.
As am I. I feel incredibly inadequate. I think, I mean, it's a good thing I live in Pretoria, though, because then I can sort out my feelings of inadequacy by going to a bar, drinking brandy, and starting a fight with a stranger.
Yeah, I can see where that would work.
Yeah.
Okay, we've made it. We have done an hour of the worst tech podcast. We did talk about tech for like exactly 6 minutes. I timed it. Awesome, and we're doing this again next week, because I know for a fact that by next week there's going to be even more crazy shit. It doesn't stop.
Oh yeah, and maybe we'll finally get somebody to guest star on the show if everybody stops hating us enough.
I don't, and this is like the thought I kind of want to leave this on. There's a sort of, okay, last topic and then we're done. The European Court of Human Rights upheld a ruling by the Court of Austria that was made a few years ago, which a woman was fined for blaspheming against the Prophet of Islam, just for pointing out the fact that Aisha, the 6-year-old girl he married, existed. And like her argument was that it's not a hate crime to point out an historical fact. The court disagreed because it could incite religious violence, and the EU upheld the ruling. And there's this weird principle that there's a lot of people that want to
don't blaspheme the EU, dude.
I do. Well, okay, no, the EU. Fuck them.
Okay, well, I would like to point out I'm probably the only science, like I know a lot of people, like physicists, mathematicians, geneticists. They all like. I don't know what it is, but scientists fucking love the EU. They love the EU. They absolutely love it. I'm like, you guys did science before the EU existed, right?
Yeah, but they weren't able to do it with the scale of funding that the EU hands out. That is the big difference. But the kind of the weird and the thought.
I'll live without the other downsides of that funding. Thanks.
There we go. But there's this weird thing where people basically want to be good, and they want to think of themselves as good, and they will defend the idea of themselves as good. So, and some people do it so strongly that they are terrified of the accusation of being a racist or a sexist or something, and they'll shy away from a controversial thing because if someone calls me a racist, that means I am a racist, and I'm not a racist. I'm a good person, and that conflict doesn't get resolved at all. I've been called a racist enough now to say with confidence that it doesn't actually change anything. Like
I've been called a racist white supremacist, which is ironic. I've been called.
You are the worst white supremacist objectively, but sorry.
I have dated a lot of white women though, so maybe I am a good white supremacist.
Maybe.
Um, no, but like all that I've been called as the main one that I get is that I'm like a misogynist. Like I hate women. Like I hate.
But you just said you dated a lot. Clearly, you love a lot of women. That's the whole point.
Yeah. Simply because I don't support their right to like. I don't want to pay for your birth control. That's my thing. That's my thing. And they're like, you're a misogynist. You hate women. You should tax fund birth control. I'm like, no, I'm not having sex with you. Ask the nigga you having sex with to pay for your birth control, not me.
And what's funny is that the right wing answer to that argument is, the family unit would fix that problem. But the point is, it's really that name calling is just that. And I've seen too many people just afraid to say something because what if I get called names? Dude, you get called names anyway, and it really doesn't matter. Was it Maya Angelou or someone who said it's not what I'm called, it's what I answer to. That's the part that actually matters. So I'm deeply shocked that I'm on a call with a white supremacist. You should have told me that before. Or what I've started telling people.
Well, I have met Willem Petzer and Conscious Caracal, so I guess I am a white supremacist.
You've been indoctrinated. The thing that I tell people, if they genuinely don't know what white supremacist is, I just tell them it's someone who's a really big fan of Barry White's music, because that's as good a definition in the modern discourse. No, it's wild. All right, cool. I'm out. I see you are descending into bliss with your scotch.
Yum, 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 yum. Scotch.
Yeah, and good luck to everyone dealing with the South African heat wave.
Yeah, good luck, guys. I've got a pool in my complex, and I've got some unanswered WhatsApps to answer. So,
yeah, I think that might be David from the Mossad. Just accept his friend request. You don't want to upset David.
I love hummus. Just so you know, I love hummus.
Eat it on everything.
I love hummus. I really do. Okay, so yeah.
All right. Peace out and good night, everyone.
Cheers, guys. Peace.